Hello, baseball fans. Guess who's back with episode number 2? Leachy is here, the One Hit Wonder podcast back in full effect. Today I'm going throwback. I found my Little League hat from 9 years old in Nevada Hawks. Yes, sir. Still got it. Thank you, Mom. Also, repping my old BMP shirt from back in the day, our facility in Natomas, Sacramento, California. Baseball mentoring program. So I'm just taking it back, being a little nostalgic. But today I'm going to get into some more things that I've seen in my life, career. I'm going to cover high school, recruitment, playing in college, and on and on and on, and whatever else can pop into my head. So sit back and enjoy the ride, and welcome to the One Hit Wonder podcast. Today I want to talk about intentions to play in college. For me, with that new NCAA rule that just came about, where now kids can go play junior college for 2 years and not lose any eligibility, I think that's going to be a game changer. I don't know how it's all going to play out, but I think you're going to see teams at the collegiate level, at least at the Division I level, they're probably just going to do a lot of recruiting via junior college or the transfer portal. So I think the JUCOs are going to be tremendous. JUCO baseball, starting, I guess, next year, whenever this goes in effect, they probably could field 2 teams at every level. So for now, all the youth players, the high school players, if you're not that blue chip, ready to go out of high school player that wants to play D1, there's a good chance that you're probably going to have to go to junior college. So I feel like from the youth circuit, you are definitely going to need to know how to play the game quicker and faster and stronger, because now the bar's been risen, because now kids can play up to 6 years of college baseball. So start learning how to play this game, because it's gonna be a lot tougher. So I just wanted to drop that in there before I get going on today's subject. And thank you again for joining, and let's get into this. Today I wanted to just talk about, my journey being recruited. I know it's been, 35 years or whatever since I got recruited, but my intentions were set in the 8th grade. I asked my parents, or told my parents, hey, I wanted to play college athletics. So we didn't have the internet and social media. I just knew academics was the first component, and then getting good at my sport or sports was the second component. So for me, it was just really honing in and focusing on those things. All right. So for you young athletes in the 8th grade, middle school, or entering high school, if you want to play in college, and now I just gave you the rule changes, at least at the Division I level, you have to really, really hone in and lock in on this. It's serious business. So I'm not saying you can't enjoy life and hang out, but the training, the academic component, you have to be on point and ready to go from the jump. To piggyback off of that, I want to talk about my recruiting trail as I entered high school and, eventually got recruited to play college baseball. For me, it started my sophomore year when I got invited to a prospect camp at Cal State Fullerton, put on by the then, superstar coach Augie Garrido. And basically, what I felt like he did was they went through all the top hitters and pitchers in basically the Western United States. And back in the newspaper, like once a week, we always had like our top 5 batters and our top 5 pitchers. And I think they just went through all the leagues and they just clipped the names, and they end up sending a 3x5 postcard to the in care of the player to the school, to the athletic director. So when I got my invite at Samarin High School, the athletic director called me in and said, hey, Jalal, I got this in the mail for you. They're inviting you as one of the top players in the Western United States to come to this prospect camp at Cal State Fullerton, blah, blah, blah. So naturally, 15-year-old, I'm fired up. I'm thinking of every which way to beg my mom and dad to let me go to LA to go to this thing. So I went home, showed it to them, and they were like, well, okay, you've been doing your stuff. So off I went to LA, and I believe it's just a weekend camp. And we got down there to Fullerton. I ran the 60-yard dash. I took batting practice. We did in and out. And then the last day we played a game. And the kids were from, I believe, New Mexico all the way to California, Oregon, SoCal, the Washington the state, Nevada, so on and so on. And, I did my thing. I think I ended up getting, over the course of the game, God, I'm touching my memory here, but I think I was 3 for 9, and I swiped some bags. And I just kind of went out there and did my thing, not thinking much of it. I know I ran well with the 60. And basically, when the camp was over, Coach Garrido came to me and he said, Mr. Leach, where are you from? I said, Novato. He said, Nevada? I said, no, Novato. He goes, where is that? I said, that is north of the Golden Gate Bridge in the San Francisco Bay Area. And he said, man, you got some ability, some tools, some this, some that. And I said, Coach, I'm a basketball player. I just came because I thought the invite was cool. And so he said, you might want to reconsider. And as soon as he said that, I said, okay. So on the flight back home, I was thinking about it, and I loved hoop. I absolutely wanted to hoop all the time. So when I got home, I told my folks what he had said, and he said I should consider baseball. And, I talked it over with my parents, and I said, maybe he's got a point. Maybe there's something there, and by then I hadn't kept growing to be that 6'6" or 6'7" that I thought I was going to be. So I was hovering around 6'1". So I said, okay, let's hone in on this baseball, but I ain't giving up my hoop. So after that camp, I started getting recruiting letters. I naturally got one from Fullerton. I think I got one from Oklahoma State. I think I got one from Miami. I started getting all these letters, and there were scouts there as well, pro scouts. I started getting the little scout card. I remember the first one came from the Phillies, and I don't even know if I turned the thing in. I was so enamored with seeing that Philadelphia Phillies logo on that scout card with all the information. I'm not sure if I ever turned it in, and I think I filled it out in pencil. Mistake. Always use pen, fellas. So it was just the recruiting just took off really fast for me. And it was like I just went to that prospect showcase camp and my name just started spreading. And off I went, and it was a whirlwind. And for me, where I grew up in Marin, most of the kids went from the high schools in Marin to College in Marin, and then on to a 4-year. That was never my intentions or my plan. I wanted to go to 4-year right out of high school. So I used to talk to my parents about that all the time. Do I have to go that way? And they said, no, you can do whatever you want. So for me, one of my childhood friends, and now I'm training his nephew, Craig Stuyvesant, another Novato alum, great baseball player. He didn't go to high school in Nevada. We'll talk about that another time. He went to Marin Catholic down the road. Stive was dominant. And I was just talking to his nephew about this. He was a dominant pitcher probably when we were little on. And so when we got to high school, Stive just, you couldn't hit him. No one could hit him. I don't know how many guys he struck out again. And I believe, if I had to guess, Stive's fastball was probably 90 to 94 coming out of high school. So I believe he started and probably pitched the whole game on Tuesday. We played Tuesday, Thursday, and he probably came in on relief on Thursday. This guy was the most dominant pitcher I probably ever faced on the amateur level. Shout out, Stive. And so Stive got recruited to Pepperdine University in Southern California. And he got down there. He did his thing. I think he became a freshman All-American. And so as he was doing his thing, I was a year behind him, and I was doing my thing. And I think Coach Gorey at the time asked him about me, and he said, yeah, Jalal's a good player, this, that, and the other. He'd be a good fit. And I also believe Coach Gorey had a friend who lived in Marin County that he called up to. He said, "You heard of this kid?" And he goes, "Yeah, his name's in the paper every week. He's doing something on the ball field." So from Craig doing his, I guess, recruiting, and Coach Gorey's friend in Marin seeing my name in the paper all the time, that's how Pepperdine showed up on the scene. Was Pepperdine my number one choice? No. I wanted to go to Arizona State. Arizona State was my dream school. I think the coach was Brock at the time. And Barry Bonds was on TV, I felt like, every week. And B. Bonds, who I eventually got to play with later, that's crazy, he used to steal second in them white cleats, standing up. So when I saw him do that in college, I was trying to do it and doing it in high school. So ASU on TV a lot. I was all about Arizona State. So they didn't show up till later in the recruiting process, but I wish they would have came at me sooner because I would have undoubtedly had gone there. But the schools that were on me the strongest was Pepperdine and Fresno State. And it was, for a 16, 17-year-old, it was kind of nerve-wracking to figure out, do I go to Fresno State, play for Coach Bob Bennett, or do I go down to Pepperdine and play for Dave Gorey? And my dad he basically said this to me. He goes, they both seem to have the things you want to major in or that you like. He goes, but you might want to consider going to the school where you have the best opportunity to get on the field the fastest. So my dad, who, again, no internet, somehow got the rosters, and he saw whose team losing the most players. And he said, Pepperdine, it looks like they're losing the most players. So he goes, it's your call, but he goes, I would consider Pepperdine. So thinking about it, looking at it, I was like, hey, my dad's got a point there. And then late May, Arizona State called, Coach Brock. And the thing when he called, it was after I had committed to Pepperdine. And I don't go back on my word. If I give you my word, I'm not going to, decommit or whatever I hear the kids say today. And I told him, I said, Coach Brock, had you hit me a little sooner, I would have been all in, but I've already committed to Pepperdine. I appreciate you reaching out. And off I went to Pepperdine. And, I got down there. I think we went down in the summer for like an orientation. Your kids are all new, coming from all over the country. I mean, if you don't know about Pepperdine, Google it, look it up. It's in Malibu, where all the movie stars and famous people live. So it was cool with the ocean as a backdrop. Very cool place to go to school. So went down, did the orientation. Then I came back, and I think school started late August. So back then, I drove down about a 6.5-hour drive from my home in Northern California, and I drove down by myself. And it was like a scene out of a movie when I left home. I had my car, like I see a lot of college kids when you pass them on the road, car full with every blanket, pillow, box. And I had my car filled with all my stuff. And I remember my dad, who was a longtime police officer, standing out in front of the house, like mom in the house code, and my brother, my sisters, they're all like in a single file line. And I remember backing out of the driveway and I just crying. I was bawling, crying like a big old baby. And then where we lived in Nevada, you had to go down the street, make a U-turn, and then come back up. So then I went down, made the U-turn, and I could still see them all standing out there, and I'm crying. And on that 6-hour drive down to Malibu, I probably cried 4 hours. And, I get down there, I committed, and I want to play ball, and the college next step of life, I don't know anyone. All I knew was Stive, but he was a pitcher, and he was in his second year. So, here I am, my first roommate, Britt Craven, the surfer from Hilo, Hawaii. They picked your roommate, and it's like you don't know anyone. And so you get there, and, the school, the academics are tougher than they were in high school. The baseball, oh my goodness, was super hard because the kids, the players on the team were older, stronger, fast, and they were all good. Wherever they came from, they were the all-stars of where they came from. And I remember the first time we played an inter-squad game. And I'm going to guess most high school fastballs back then when I was in high school, probably 75 miles an hour. You know, you go to college, that was a huge jump. It went from 75 to probably 80 to 85. So I get down there and, we start, and I was a good athlete, but we played an inter squad. And I remember playing in the game, and the guy pitching against me, they said was the worst pitcher on the team the previous year. And I remember getting in, and he threw that first pitch. It was probably 85. It looked like a BB coming in there. And I remember swinging and hitting it, and I fouled it out. I'm left-handed. I fouled it off over the third base dugout. And I was like, and I don't know if I hit the ball at all, if he struck me out. I know it was moving so fast. And I remember going back to the room. We didn't have cell phones then, and had to get on the old phone to call home. And I remember talking to my dad. I said, Dad, I don't know if I'm good for this. These boys can really, really play. And I faced the worst pitcher on the team, and I couldn't even hit him. I couldn't even get around on him. And all I remember my dad saying is, get to work. Get to work. And a part of it was, yes, the speed of the game got faster. Also, a part of it was I was homesick. I'm a mama's boy. I was always connected to my mama. Okay. And that was the first time I really had to be separated from my mom. And it was nerve-wracking. So I got all these new people, coaches, players, school, environment, and I was homesick. And I think I was probably calling home way too much about, I don't like it here. The food in the cafeteria is not good. I was thinking of every excuse, but the thing and shout out to my mom and dad. They just tough love. You'll be fine. Click. Only call me back if it's an emergency. Maybe I should transfer home. A school closer to home. You'll be fine. You're just homesick. You've never been away from home. Click. Call me back. So I toughed it out. And, when I came back, I don't know if it was Thanksgiving or Christmas, but it was like, man, the baseball there is really tough. And the academics were even tougher. So it was just a whirlwind, but this is what I signed up for. So then, after Christmas break, we came back and, like a lot of the kids, I see my son, working out, and the other kids, they're going to go back and they're going to have a few weeks to get the team going. And then boom, the season started. And the season started, and I was a freshman, and, I knew I didn't do anything in the fall to merit, much playing time. So all I got to do was pinch hit, pinch run, or going in the blowout games. And I remember I believe it was our opening game. We played UCLA at UCLA. And I think they might have been smashing us. And I got to go in the game late. Mike Fury, I think he ended up pitching in the big leagues. I got to pinch hit late against Mike. And I got my first hit. And I was fired up. I got to bat. I remember lining one right back up the middle, getting the first. Coach Jim Gaddis saying, oh, you're 1 for 1. You're leading the nation in hitting. And I was so jazzed, even though we lost the game. But I got my first hit. But over the next, I want to say, 14, 15 games, all I did was pinch hit. I just did that same role. And this is the first time in my life that I'd ever been a bench player. So that was another adjustment. So just practicing, hoping, not really getting a chance because there's better players in front of me. But I stayed ready. And so as time went on, a few guys started to struggle. The team was struggling. We went up to play UC Santa Barbara, like a midweek game. And Coach Gorey said, hey, I'm going to let you start today. And I might have said, me? And he said, hey, the other guys aren't swinging the bat well, so I'm going to let you play. So I went in and played. Lo and behold, got 5 hits. So you get 5 hits, good chance you're going to be playing the next game. So the next game I played, got 3 hits. So next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I was leading the team in hitting. I had become an everyday full-time player and ended up playing the rest of the way, all the way until we won our conference And I think we were ranked as high. I was looking it up the other day. I saw some 12 and some 16, but I feel like at one point we were ranked as high as number 7th in the nation. So we made it to the West 2 Regional at Arizona State University in Tempe, Arizona. Okay, this is the same field I was watching just a year earlier or a few years earlier when Barry Bonds was there. And I had been doing my thing. So Coach Gorey, Coach Gaddis said, hey, it doesn't matter if you're a freshman. You're one of our top hitters. You're playing. So first game, we're playing University of Oklahoma. And they were, high-ranked team. The starting pitcher, their Friday night starter, was supposed to be, I believe, a first, second, third round pick. He threw 94, had a hammer, this, that, and the other. It was like, man, we're facing Roger Clemens today. And here I am just really barely a year removed from high school, and I'm in the lineup. And so I get up against this guy, and I wish I could remember his name. And I get up, and yeah, he was throwing hard, but I timed him up, and I roped a low line drive in the right center. And if you've never been to games or watch baseball in Arizona, in the desert, the ball carries. So when we were there, this is probably in May, and I roped a low liner in the right center, and I thought right out the box, triple. So I take off just trying to book it. And then the next thing you know, I look at the outfielders. Once you see their backs turn, you're like, oh, you did some damage. And they stop. And they used to have these bushes or hedges behind the fence there. I couldn't see the ball. So then once I realized, I said, oh my goodness, the ball went out. And it went out over the Reggie Jackson sign, home run. So I come around and score, and I was like, oh my God, I took this top prospect deep as a true freshman. It was like I was floating. And I remember my dog, Frank Charles, what up, Frankie? Saying, Jaber, you just took this guy deep as a freshman. I'm just playing. I don't know what's really going on. I just know we're trying to get to Omaha. So we stay undefeated to the last day. We get to play the hosts, Arizona State. We basically got to win one game the last day to go to Omaha. They had to beat us twice. Well, we had exhausted all our pitching. Doug Simon, Pat Dubar, Dennis Burbank, Kip Landis, I probably Kevin Kondo, on and on and on. And so ASU ends up beating us twice to knock us out. And they went on to Omaha and actually won the national championship. But I want to tell this funny story about the game for us to decide to if we're going to go on to Omaha. Well, that game is on ESPN. It's my first time playing on national television, and I've never really played in front of this many people. I think that stadium held like 15,000, and they used to do this chant called "Go Devils," and it was a riot. So they start this guy, and I'm gonna make sure he gets this because he's worked. This is how crazy the world is. He's now working with the kid I used to train, Leachy Ingram. Leachy Ingram. This name will be in my head until I die. Leachy threw me so many I wish I could find the video. He threw me so many curveballs. He struck me out 3 times. I have never been so nervous in my life. I wasn't even that nervous my first time hitting in the big leagues. And Leachy struck me out on probably all curveballs, chasing. And I remember after the game, going to my folks and going, my knees were literally shaking. And I was like, Mom, Dad, I've never been that nervous. I couldn't see the ball. It was out of body. And so I just, and who wants to strike out 3 times on national television? Not me, ever. But it happened. And I remember my brother who was behind me at high school. Well, when he came back to school on that Monday, everyone was making fun of him, say, your brother struck out 3 times on TV. And then, Jumani being Jumani, he wanted to fight the world. So, but I learned from that. And I made a mental note. I said, hey, if I ever get in a big time situation like that again, I'm not going to be that nervous. And even when I made my major league debut, I never had nerves like I did against Linty Ingham. So shout out Linty. You got me. You're the boss. And, I battled 3 more years at Pepperdine. My stock just kept going up and up and up. I just kept improving. I played in the Alaska Winter League. I played at Cape Cod. I played in the fall for Team USA. And I just had fun, and I just kept improving my game and my skill set until, my junior year. I was a top prospect along with my roommate, Chris Martin. I think at one point we were rated 77, 78 top 100 draft prospects going into that draft. And, and Marty's still like a brother to me. And, college was awesome. The experience of playing, and for me, Pepperdine was perfect. I got through obviously the homesickness, and I enjoyed it. And so, to me, college baseball was the best time of my life. So for you young ball players wanting to play at a 4-year school, chase it. Do whatever you need to do. And I don't want to make these episodes too long, so I think I'm going to stop right there today because I just want to make sure that my point gets across that, a big step is going from high school to college, and then the next big step was when I was drafted, going into pro ball, on and on and on. But until next time, keep having fun, keep working hard, and enjoy it. This is Mr. One Hit Wonder out, episode 2, and we'll see what pops in my brain for the next episode. Peace out. Be well out there. Later.